are listening to a SmartGrid News webinar under the hood of OG&E Smart Grid deployment. We just heard from Ed Rossi of IBM. We've got several questions already, and a couple of related questions. One is, how does this offering work with IBM's Maximo products? And another person asks how it works with non-IBM products. What is your interoperability story?
Sure, absolutely. And that's very similar. The Maximo products, which are the kind of the asset and work management layer, really interact right on top of the solution that we're talking about here. We can accept the event management and data that comes to us and use that to create work orders and then manage those work orders through to completion, to update, and then to resolve the issues. So Maximo is a terrific complement to this overall solution. In terms of third-party tools, it's a good question. We work with a number of third-party products. We have integrations with Itron, with Trilliant from a meter vendor perspective. And we work with and are able to work with other tools, other GIS tools, for example, like Telvent, and bring that data in seamlessly and push it out. So that's a very common scenario for us in the implementations that we have.
So Ed, you showed a slide where with utility partners of yours in Brazil and Italy and the nation state of Texas, and you work with lots of utilities, but there's a question of how listeners could interact with other utilities to learn more about how they're doing things and get their lessons learned.
Yeah, that's a good question. Really the best way, and this is an opportunity to do it face-to-face, is to consider attending our Pulse conference in March of 2013. We have it every year. We bring a number of utility clients from around the world. We had, I forget the numbers, certainly over 6,000 attendees last year, the vast majority of which were certainly Maximo Enterprise Asset Management and overall utility clients.
Denise asks, and you touched on this, Ed, when you talked about Brazil a little bit, but she asked if there's examples of how this kind of a setup would help with catastrophic situations such as Superstorm Sandy.
Yeah, that's a good question. Boy, we've got a great example of that this week. What we have is real-time ability to gather data from the meters and understand what kind of data is coming in. So a typical example is that the meter ceases to report back, and the kind of event can be escalated, and events like that can be grouped. So if a number of events of a similar nature occur in a specific kind of geography or time and space, that information can be captured. So while there's some of the infrastructure damage that occurred in Sandy or something that are pretty hard to get around, early warning and understanding of the areas that are down are something that we can provide as long as we can bring it together.
Brian wants to know if you can integrate with role-based security.
We have some capability around role-based security, and we can integrate with some of those kinds of tools. The focus here, I think, is on functionality, and we can make the screens work toward the roles that the person is associated with.
Okay, thank you. And I want to bring on now next Joe Webb, who's the expert solution architect at OG&E. He's responsible for their overall portfolio of solutions. He was previously a VP of development for Concert, before that for Zemph Sound Innovations, and before that several key positions at IBM. He's got a bachelor in computer systems. So Joe, we appreciate your taking the time to share your experiences with other utility colleagues, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Jesse, for the introduction, and I really enjoy every opportunity that I have to talk about what we've done here at OG&E with our Smart Grid initiative. It's been a really great team effort all across the company in the many different areas that's been involved, and we really couldn't have done this without the many vendors and consultants that we've had on the project over time. And the overall project team here at OG&E, of course, was just a very tremendous asset in all of this. My specific responsibilities with our initiative has been in the solution architecture area. Now, what I'm going to do over the next number of minutes is to try to give you an overview of our architecture and briefly touch on highlights of a number of different areas, as you saw in the agenda, Unfortunately, each one of those, we could spend the whole time on each one of those. So I'm going to try to stay at a high level, but give you a good idea as to what we're doing. You know, we've used many products from many different partners and vendors, including IBM, that provided us with Netcool, which is what we use in our Manager of Managers environment. And I'll go a little more detailed later in the presentation and talk about that. So our CEO has a goal for OGE for us to not build any additional power plants until the year 2020 or later. And one of the things that OGE has put in place to meet that goal is our Smart Grid initiative that's been funded at $320 million plus. We had the original schedule for our project was 5 years to roll all of this out. And in the meantime, we applied for DOE funding, which was granted in the amount of $120 million plus. But the one stipulation was that we take our 5-year plan and push it into 3 years. So that kind of sets the stage for what we've been doing here at OGE over the past couple of years or so. And you can see the obligatory DOE slide that I have in the presentation here. So just a little bit about OGE. We're located here in the state of Oklahoma. Our headquarters is in Oklahoma City, which is where I am right now. Our territory, as you can see, goes all the way from the Texas border to the Kansas border, up through the middle of the state, goes back to Texas on the west side, and towards Arkansas and over into Arkansas towards the east. We have over 30,000 square miles of distribution system. We have more than 779,000 customers and are making real great progress in our smart grid and in our smart meter deployment. As of yesterday, we have installed and up and running 775,000 meters. And we will complete our meter installation activities before the end of the year. We're making really good progress and really good strides in that area. So we have a set of fairly aggressive, overarching requirements for our smart grid initiative. We want to really connect up with our customers, so our smart grid initiative is both customer-focused and operational-focused, building new infrastructure to help OGE improve our operations, and at the same time provide good benefit for our customers as well. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a couple of slides. We want to, of course, provide our customers with information and use dynamic pricing so that we can reflect the real costs of the energy. And in fact, that's a real advantage to our customers, as I'll describe a little bit later as well. One of the things that we wanted to do is to use as much of our technology that's in place as possible and automate as much as possible. In order to do these types of things, you really have to understand what your end game looks like and have an architecture that meets those end games. Protect yourself from both cyber and natural disasters. And in order to meet the 5-year project done in 3 years, we've had to run multiple projects all at the same time, and we've also had to incorporate what we believe is a best-of-breed solution development lifecycle process to allow us to do that. And I'll talk more about each of these as we go along. Again, as I've mentioned, with this type of activity, you really want to know where you're going long range so that you cannot paint yourself in a corner. I talk about that a lot with the folks here, that we may do specific things on a particular solution in a particular application, but we really want to know where we're going long range. And so one of the overall things that we've tried to do here is to keep in mind that we're going to stand up the technology first. Not worry about a lot of other things, but get the technology up, get it running, and then obtain value from that working technology, because there are a number of things that once you get the technology up and working properly, you can obtain some good value from that, and then extend beyond that into additional business value. And then lastly, what we intend to do is to enhance and customize those functions for additional business value across the years to come. A roadmap would really be hard to follow if you didn't have a holistic architecture that really addresses where you're going long range. This brings things in an understandable fashion for the IT organization, and the holistic architecture that we have here really supports our roadmap. What we've tried to do is to make sure that our architecture is resilient, make sure it's extensible, make sure it's understandable, but not cast in stone, because as we progress and we learn things, we find that we need to fine-tune adjustments to different areas. The solution architectures that we put together are done at the project level, and so we'll take our reference architecture, and then each one of the areas, as we have a solution, we'll blow it up into a solution architecture. So you can see lots of different areas of the business that are reflected on this particular slide. I don't have time to talk about all of those, but just to give you a little bit of an idea of what's going on here, the green hatched areas are systems that were in place to begin with that we had to touch and change in small ways, others pretty drastic changes in order to address the smart grid environment. And then the blue blocks are the blocks that I'm going to touch on in the following slides. So, like I've said, we have better than 775,000 smart meters in the field right now. And once we get 5 successful reads from our smart meter, we start using that meter for billing purposes, and we also make information available for our customers that have that smart meter at their residence or place of business. Every customer has access to this. They can sign on to the website and get their information. It's an automated sign-up. They don't have to call anything. They just need to go to our website and ask to be signed up, and then they'll start receiving their data at that point. The data is 15-minute intervals. It's updated every hour. And we have a number of customers, I'll talk about how many in a couple of minutes, in our demand response program. And those customers get their updates every 15 minutes. We've implemented some additional rates for our customers along with our Smart Grid program. And those rate changes, as we move along and we have different rates, notifications are provided for our customers. And we have several different methods that we notify customers. They can go to our website and find out. They can go to their portal and find out. They can ask for email to be sent. We send text messages. We do IVR. And most importantly, it goes directly to the programmable communicating thermostat within their house. So they can go to the thermostat and see what the price is. And we also, of course, provide projections for both energy and the amount. This next slide is an example of what a customer would see when they go to the energy information website. They can see what the projected bill will be. They can see how much they've currently used. And of course, they can see that in both dollars and in kilowatts. They can also see what the current price per kilowatt hour is on that website. So like most utilities, we started out with a very limited pilot in an area called Quail Creek. It's an upscale area. We had 25 customers involved in that, providing energy awareness, and the results of that small pilot was very positive. It gave us a good indication that what we were doing be the right type of thing for our customers. Then in 2010, we expanded into a study of 3,000 customers, specifically down in the Norman, Oklahoma area, which is just south of Oklahoma City. And we had very carefully selected different groups within the 3,000 customers so that we could understand what the different segments of our customer base would do with our smart grid technology and our demand response program. We also had a control group to keep that as a baseline. It was a very successful study for that 1 year. So the following year in 2011, we expanded that with an additional 3,000 customers, and we included the Oklahoma City area in that. Again, we carefully selected the groups to participate in the study along with the control group, and that has turned out very successful for us as well. Customers liked it, in particular they like saving money, and I'll again talk more about that. So we're right now in what we've called the pilot phase during this year, and our goal is to get at least 40,000 customers signed up, and we are on track to do that. We'll meet our goal by the end of this year. And then as we go forward, what we're doing is we're anticipating approximately 20% of our customer base to be signed up for the demand response program by the end of 2014. And with that number of customers signed up, we'll be able to reduce our peak load by 210 megawatts. And we'll do this through new pricing products and the value-added services that we'll be providing to our customers. During the study program, we had an Intergate programmable communicating thermostat. We also had an IHD, and as I had said before, we also had our energy information portal. These were all used in the study, and what we discovered was that the IHD really didn't provide any additional value from a customer perspective over and above the website. So as we've moved forward, we're no longer providing support for the IHD. This will just give you an idea of where we're headed and how much we expect to reduce our peak energy requirements on a yearly basis as we add more and more customers over the next couple of years. And what we found from our study is that we can anticipate on an average 1.33 kilowatt hours per customer. Some customers a little less, some customers a little more, of course, depending on the size of their house and their comfort settings and those types of things. But on average, we can drive about 1.33 kilowatt hours, which will, with 20% penetration, get us to our goal that we've set. So, as I've said, the goal is to avoid future generation development, and we're on track to do that. You know, each one of our customers have their own reason for signing up for our Smart Grid program, but one of the main reasons that customers sign up is that on average a customer saves about $200 per cooling season. So the way I say it, kind of kiddingly, is that everybody's green, but different people have their different idea of what green means.